Hi everybody, today we are talking on UTotal English Advanced Unit 2 Communities. We are going to face some verb patterns. We are going to look at the photos and read the text. After reading the text, please say who has the positive things to say and who thinks the community changes for the worse. Text number 1. My family emigrated from Italy to the US 50 years ago. When they arrived, they were penniless and spoke no English. It was the community that helped them get on their feet. Other Italian Americans got them jobs, lent them money when they couldn't afford to buy groceries, even found the apartment where my grandmother still lives. When my father was thinking of going to college, the elders in the community not only advised him to do it, they also paid some of his fees. It was a real community. The area was full of bakeries and trattorias where people from the old country still spoke the dialect and served Italian food. That's all gone now. Text number 2. There's a very strong sense of community where I live. People don't mind helping others. You see it all the time. Youngsters visit the elderly. People look after each other's children. Everybody knows everybody else. I can't imagine living in a big soulless city where you are anonymous and don't know your neighbors, where you avoid going out at night because you are worried about the high crime rate. I know the world is evolving, but we've held on to old values here and I think that's a good thing. Text number 3. I think our communities are changing fast. For example, the big supermarket chains have driven out local shopkeepers. Personally, I can't stand shopping in those places. I think they damage the local economy and people don't want to go to 5 different shops when they can stock up on everything in a supermarket. The schools are closing one by one. Lots of families object to sending their kids to a school 6 miles away, but what choice do we have? Our hands are tied. The local shop that has been there for 100 years is going to close. It's a shame, but I guess that's the way the world is going. So, is she positive or does she think that the changes are for the worse? Text number 4. Here in Melbourne, there's a big, very visible Greek community, and I don't think that will change anytime soon. You can buy Greek food like tzatziki and baklava everywhere you go, and you still hear Greek spoken in the bars and restaurants. And of course, we have the Antipodes Festival, which showcases Greek culture. Community is so important to us. Maybe it's because Greece is made up of lots of little islands, so people live cheek by jowl and rely on each other. That has carried over to our communities in Australia. So please answer who above the texts has the positive things to say and who thinks the community changes for the worse. Come back to the text and say it. So what does Vincenzo say about language and food as part of the Italian American community? Find the answer in the text. What 3 examples of a strong sense of community does David give? Please find the examples in the text. How have things changed for shoppers and families in Paolo's community? Please find the answers in the text. Why is community important to Greeks according to Kauros? Please find it in the text. Do you agree with Vincenzo that communities are not as strong as they used to be? If so, why? And how much contact do you have with your local community? Do you know your neighbors? Do you use local shops and services? Please answer this question in a written form and send your answers to me. Look at the extract and underline the verb patterns. For example, in the sentence like, other Italian Americans lent them money when they couldn't afford to buy groceries, we can clearly see that afford to buy is a certain expression. After the verb afford, we only use to. Afford to buy, afford to go, afford to leave, afford to do anything. Or like here, when my father was thinking of going to college, the elders in the community not only advised him to do it, they also paid some of his fees. Advised him to do it. Advised somebody to do something. Advised somebody to go somewhere. Okay, And now please find the mistakes in the sentences and correct them. For the analysis, you can address to the text and see how the verbs are used in the text. The second part. If you don't know for sure, please come back to the text and look up for the verbs there. And the third part. Okay, now let's revise. We use in after certain verbs like imagine, avoid, don't mind, don't fancy, can't stand, object. Please give your examples, your own examples. We use infinitive after verbs like afford, warrant, recommend. We use verb plus object plus infinitive with to after verbs like advise somebody to do something, encourage somebody to do something, and urge somebody to do something, persuade somebody to do something. And we also use verb plus preposition plus in, like think about visiting or look forward to seeing. Now please rewrite these sentences with the verbs in brackets. Begin each sentence with I would, or I am. For example, sentence number 1. I don't have the money to go to the theater. And here we see the verb afford. We can say that afford is used with to, so that's why we can say I cannot afford to go to the theater. Please do the exercise, put it down, and send your answers to me.